Good morning. Hope everybody's had a wonderful weekend and kickstart to their Monday. I should be live on our platforms as well today. Every week we're giving you guys value, and you get to see what we're doing at the Institute of the Mind and what it means to develop yourself, what it means to think, think into your results, create the life and destiny that you desire, do the things that you want to do, live the way you want to live, create abundance, create wealth, create prosperity in your life, change the life of your family. All these things that we desire are results, but the cause is working on yourself. The cause is what deviates you from the current circumstances to another reality. And this is the only way that we can improve our state of being in our life. Everything that a man is what's between his hat and his boots. And that's the truth. Everything that we are is thought, and we've got to develop the thoughts that we have. I can go back years ago where my thoughts were less developed and I had less desire. Why would somebody have a less developed mind and less desire? Simply didn't know any better. I can go back as a young man, and at that time I was not looking towards building companies or building $1 million companies. That wasn't the goal. And why wouldn't that be the goal? I didn't think it was possible at the time. Now, years later, this desire in me began to develop, and all this time, I would say all this time has been a unfoldment of desire, an unfoldment of creativity, and an understanding that we are more than just a body. We are spiritual beings experiencing a physical reality. And that research, that desire to understand purpose in life led me to what we're doing today. Now, more than likely, you're along the same way. Anybody that's looking for personal development is looking for something on purpose. They're desiring to go beyond, and they want to know more and more about themselves. The only way you're going to do that is by developing yourself. And the way to develop yourself is setting goals, achieving goals. In the process of setting and achieving goals, you begin to develop your will and your strength and your this innate ability to give yourself a command, do it, and take charge of your life, take responsibility for your life. When you begin to take responsibility for your life, you begin to change. And the only thing that you could ever do is change yourself. So in the process of setting these goals and working on your goals, you're letting go of beliefs about yourself, you're changing beliefs about yourself, and you're creating new ones. And as you begin to create new beliefs that overlap the old beliefs, that destroy the old beliefs about yourself, you're winning. And winning's a great thing. We're always winning. We're always winning our goal, the goals we set, by continued action towards those goals, or you're winning more of what you already know. We're always winning and gaining speed on what we do. But it's rare that you're looking at what you know and what you're thinking about. I'm going to play this video. Life is about the progressive realization of a worthy idea. And that came from, I believe it was Earl Nightingale. Life is the progressive realization of a worthy idea, or Hill, one of the two. And as you progressively move to your worthy ideal, you're developing these new characteristics. You've got to choose what characteristics you're going to develop so that you can acquire the things that you want. If we look at every position in life, you look at a doctor. He didn't become a doctor by accident. He became a doctor because he had to know what a doctor was. He had to evaluate what a doctor done. He had to develop himself into what a doctor means. And that means he had to go learn what the doctor does. And he developed a characteristics. He decided to specialize, or she decided to specialize in certain areas, and began to build their self-worth, their self-understanding, and they began to experience that worth, that self-character, and the knowledge that that character has been desiring to unfold, to expand, to experience. And as they express that information, it becomes their new identity that they identify with and that others identify with as well. And this becomes a new reality for the individual. So many of us, and so much is unknown on the planet, on the mind. We study and research so many other things, but we're not really researching the thing that creates all things. And that's what we do here. We've got programs that have changed the lives of hundreds and thousands of people. And I can say that because we do. And this company and this practice has evolved through the years. And what it's evolved is the consciousness of man and women on the planet. You have the opportunity to do the same, but you've got a desire to want more. You've got to believe first that you can even have more, acquire more, to even start dreaming. You have to first even believe that it's possible for you. Let's take a look at this segment. And this is a video of Bob that I've been playing. And we're talking about goal setting and achieving, and developing this innate ability within yourself to change yourself, understand yourself, and do it in the proper time, because all we have is time. Here we go.
That was before they started to earn anything. Then they started to work with Nino, and the income skyrocketed. So I don't even have to think about the second one. I'm not quite sure how many they're going to buy. But I know one thing. If you haven't got much and you want to get a lot in real estate, you sit down and talk to them, they'll tell you. That you're going to make some major exciting moves. You've been thinking about them. You're committing yourself to it. When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? You've got to create a sense of urgency. I'm going to do it right now. I want you to focus on this sand timer. Let the sand in the glass represent your life. Let the sand in the bottom of the glass represent the past. The sand in the top of the glass will represent the future. Now really think about this. The sand in the bottom of the glass represents the past. Everything that has happened right up to this moment in your life has been absolutely essential to make you the person you are, to prepare you to do whatever it is you're going to do. I'm of the opinion that we never really know what we're preparing ourselves for. But if we're using the right ideas, we can be absolutely certain it's something great. The sand in the top of the glass represents the future. There's absolutely no way that any of us can tell how much sand there is in the top of our glass. You know, I remember my grandmother when I was just a little boy, because she pretty well raised me, she and my mother. But my mother worked all day, and Grandma was the one that was home when we were small. And Grandma came to live with us a year before I was born. My grandfather had passed away a year before I was born. So when I arrived on the scene, Grandma was already there. She would probably have been around 60 at that time. So in my mind, she was a very old lady. Now, I've since changed my attitude about that, but at that time, Grandma was way up there. And you know, every day of my life that Grandma spent with us, I think I heard her say, "I'll soon be gone, dear. I'll soon be gone." Well, you know, it got to a point we thought Grandma was never going to go. Now, we didn't want her to, of course. She was a dear soul. She really was. But Grandma kept saying, "I'll soon be gone." She was 94 when she left. 94. And from the time she was 60 until she was 94, she was saying, "I'll soon be gone." Now, around the same time, I had a young friend of mine, Bob Yates. Bob and I went everywhere. We did everything together. We were, as the saying goes, as thick as thieves. And Bob was 2 or 3 months older than I was, I guess. He got his driver's license 2 or 3 months ahead of me. And I remember Bob had this sort of a panel truck. It was like a sedan delivery. Today, I suppose we would call them vans. But it was on July the 9th, 1951, Bob was coming in the Kingston Road Highway, the highway you would travel on if you were coming from Montreal into Toronto, Canada. And there's one area that some of you would be familiar with where you can either go along onto Danforth or cut down onto Kingston Road. And Bob was cutting on down to Kingston Road, and it was necessary to go under a concrete overpass. And as Bob come down there, wham, just like that, he hit that concrete overpass, and like that, Bob ran out of sand. 16. Now, that was a terrible impact in my life. I'll never forget it. But if you had asked Bob a half hour before that how much sand he had in the top of his glass, he probably would have said half a century for low. He didn't have a half an hour. Now, I choose to believe that we all hope that we're going to go to bed tonight. And we're going to get up tomorrow morning. We're going to go to bed tomorrow night. But none of us know with absolute certainty whether that's going to happen or not. I remember the first speaker I ever heard was Charlie Cullen. And Charlie's late's been out doing what I'm doing right now. Right on stage. I suppose when Charlie went on to make the speech that he went on to make, he probably thought he had lots of sand left, but he didn't. And every one of us can tell a story like this. Probably tell a number of them. See, the point is, you don't know how much future you've got. What's gone is gone. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Some of you have had divorces. Some of you have probably had bankruptcies. Some of you have had terrible things happen in the past. But what's gone is gone. It's in the past. And to spend your time focusing on the past is to spend the only thing that you've got, and that's what's right here, right now, because the sand never stops running. This is all we've got. And to spend your time now thinking of what happened there is making absolute certain that the future is going to be the same as the past. Now, I don't suppose many of us spend a lot of time thinking about that, but a lot of us spend a lot of time making that error. That's an excellent symbol. All you got is now. We're saying here, don't think in reverse. There's a great poem here, Forgive. I remember years and years ago, I suffered with headaches, terrible headaches. I got to the point where I was taking Bufferin for the headaches. Then I got to the point where I was taking Sinutab with codeine for headaches. There was 16 in the bottle, and I got to the point where I was taking 2 bottles a day. As a matter of fact, most times I didn't even remember my head not aching. But I was sort of numb all the time. Of course, with that much junk in you, I guess you couldn't be any other way. And I remember talking to this chap. I was in the Hotel Vancouver. and I was picking up 2 heavy briefcases or suitcases, and I was in a real rush to get to the airport. He said, "What's the matter with you?" He said, "You look like you're going to pass out." And I said, "I feel like I am." Well, he said, "What's the matter?" And I said, "My head is aching so bad, I feel sick to my stomach." Now, some of you suffer with this, and I felt like banging my head against the wall. It was so much pain. He said, "Go and sit down in that chair." And I said, "I don't have time. I got to catch a plane." He said, "Listen, you can always get another plane. You only get one head." He said to me, "Do you know what forgive means?" On the top of page 58, that's the title of the poem, Forgive. And by the way he asked the question, I just thought I probably don't. And I said, "Well, I don't know." He says, forgive means let go of completely, abandon, just let it go. Unequivocally, no strings attached. Now he said, if you want to rid yourself of headaches, just forgive all thoughts that are on your mind. And you just listen to me. And he put me in a totally relaxed state. I felt better than I had felt for years. If you're suffering from headaches, take the relaxation tape out of your program and commit yourself to listen to it every day for 30 days. And as you let yourself get involved in that relaxation tape, you're going to forgive any thought that comes to your mind. You're going to program your subconscious mind to put your body in a totally relaxed vibration, because you're going to find that your head is aching because of the things that you're not letting go of. And it's causing tension, and it's causing an abnormal state of vibration of the cells in the brain, which causes the blood to rush to the head. And as you put yourself in a totally relaxed state, you'll soon become programmed to relax. I know that I would not be able to do what I do as often as I do it, and as long as I do it, if I wasn't relaxed. I am just as relaxed here in front of you or in front of this camera as if I was sitting in my den patting Ginger, my dog. I am. For Linda's sake, or Libby, you see. We have 2 dogs. They accuse me of favoring one of them. Now,
Bob was hitting several different topics, and I want to open them up. One is time. How much time do you have? We don't know how much time we have. The only thing we have is the present. The present is a product of past thinking. The only time we have is the present, but the present is a product of past thinking. It may not be what you want, but the present is the gift. The present is a gift because you have the power right now to imagine beyond where you're at, to desire more than where you're at. The gift is your ability to recognize that you are the gift. Your ability to think is the gift. Your ability to dream beyond is the gift giving back. That's called imagining. And as you begin to imagine beyond what you can hear, you can see, you can taste, you can touch, you can smell, when you can really begin to desire more than what you see, this is your creative ability to understand that you're more than what you are. This is your creative ability that's giving you the understanding that you and I are more than what we are. Now, when I say that, earlier I said we are spiritual beings experiencing a physical reality. For your consciousness to separate itself from itself and to think beyond what it is the direct inclination that you're more than what you are. If you were a simple machine, the machine would never recognize that it's more. If you were just a computer that had no soul, the computer would never look at itself, observe itself, to recognize that it's more than what it is, that it is expressing less than what it could. This is called consciousness. This is called spiritual consciousness or awakening. If you're at the point in your life where you began to look around and you began to look at your results and you began to desire more than what you are, it's because you are awakening. Your consciousness is giving you feedback that you are more than what you are expressing. The computer alone does not recognize itself and say, hey, wait a minute, reboot me. Let's get another programmer in here and let's reprogram this system, the operating system I'm in. The computer does not say, I know that I'm capable of more. Go build me the biggest, baddest, updated Mac or computer. You're not allowing me to perform as much as I could. It is not self-aware. It does not observe itself. But you, on the other hand, have the ability to observe what you're doing, the way you're experiencing your reality, the things that you do through your reality, the relationships through your reality, and say, you know what? I deserve more. You know what? I deserve better. You know what? I'm going to go after. You know what? I'm going to develop myself into that over there. I am going to reboot my hard drive, or I'm going to. That's what you're saying when you're saying, I will develop myself into becoming that over there. I am willing to commit and take responsibility in my life and change who I am. This is conscious awareness, but that is the ability to go beyond who you are. If you're not saying, I am, I will, and you're not doing it, this is exactly why you're stuck. Did you know that we're the only ones on the planet that we know of that can restrict how far we're going to go? That can actually say, no, I'm good enough. This is good enough for me. I'll stay here. And so many people do it without knowing it. They're going to live that day the rest of their life. For the rest of their life. And again, we don't know how much time we have. But what they didn't know what they were doing was whatever results that they're getting right now, they will repeat for the rest of their time here. They didn't really know that that's what they were doing. And that should be a huge emotional impact for you, because look around. This is all you're ever going to be. Is this really what you want? Is that truly what you desire? This is all I am ever going to be. Look around. I remember being a young man and looking around and saying, my God, if I keep doing what I'm doing, this is all I am ever going to be. I had to take some serious look at myself, some serious inventory on me. I can go back to different time periods and I recognize the ignorance of my own consciousness. Why would I not have desired to be more? Why was I expressing so much less of what I am? I remember working for peanuts and living and experiencing that reality. Now, if you've been where I've been, the chances are, or you could be there right now, you're saying, well, how? How when this is all I know? How when this is all I've done? How when I don't have the money, I don't have the experience? How when I don't have the education? Well, I'm here to tell you, this information is how. This information has changed my life. Now, I didn't meet Bob till much later on. But the difference was I was already studying what Bob was studying before I had met him. And Bob has passed away, but I worked with Bob for 6-7 years. And what he taught me was how to teach this information. What I learned prior was the books that he was talking about, the books that he was reading. This is what I was studying. I was studying material that was changing me because I was willing to take the actions and change myself. I was willing to develop myself. Now, has it taken some time? Sure, it has. Did it take 1 year, 2 years to change my life? Sure did. Has it taken more than 1 year to 2 years or 3 years? Sure has. Because I've never stopped studying. And this is why my results keep changing and I keep getting better results, because I've never stopped the practice of working on myself. Personal development is a choice. But I understood a long time ago that we're never supposed to stop. We were never supposed to stop. If you're not developing your mind and you're not setting goals to achieve goals, you're not going to continue to grow. And I just started to study the people that were getting top results. I decided to go find the best in their area. Why? Why would you do that? Do you think I was taking advice from friends, family members? Of course not. They don't have the results I want. Do you think I was asking the neighbor, I was asking the friend, the uncle, the aunt? You think I was studying with them? Or was I studying with people that had the results that I wanted to see? You see, it's about finding the right mentors, finding the right information that's going to develop you into becoming the person you want to be. Now, this material has not only been taught with people with no education, this information has been taught with people that were in top universities, Harvard, Yale, it doesn't matter. We work this information and the same, we've taken people to the same process that had doctorates, masters, that are doctors, that are attorneys, physicians, psychologists. We've used this same information and work with highly educated people, multi-million-dollar companies, billion-dollar companies. It's the process of understanding how the mind works that changes the person into who they want to be, who they want to become. The same information has taken people from rock bottom that had no education to being multimillionaires, to own multi-million-dollar companies. I've met people that had no education that have used the same information to become billionaires with no education again. So it's not about how much you have and how much you know. It's about how much are you willing to understand. It's about how much are you willing to understand. How much are you willing to do to change who you are? Who you are is the problem. I'm going to say that again. Who you are is the problem. What you don't know will change you. And this is what we teach. Because what you don't know is how great you are. And what you don't know how to do is how to develop that greatness beyond what you already know and what you are. Now, you may need to rewind this again and look at it again over it again and get trying to understand what I'm saying, because you're probably not getting it. What you don't know is what you need to know. What I didn't know at the time was that everything was possible. But what I did need to know is how to change myself, how to develop the genius from within. I can go back and observe my results in the past. I was not the same person I am today. Not at all. Not close. The intelligence that I have evolved in the time is so much beyond the intelligence that I was expressing at that time. Not because it couldn't be done, but because I was not studying this material at that moment. Now, if I'd have been studying this material at that moment, I'd have been much more far ahead. So what's the difference in time that what we experience time? We experience what we are. It's the only thing you could ever do. You're experiencing your consciousness. If I don't know this information at 14 to 18 years of age, by the time I would have hit 18, 16, 18, 19, I would have already been working towards my $1 million company or multi-million-dollar company. What's the difference? Awareness. What's the difference? Setting that goal. What's the difference? feeling worthy of accepting the goal, and then acting on it. What's the difference? Having the self-confidence to believe in yourself that that's what you're going to do. What's the difference? Willing to study and learn what you need to learn and study to become that person that you want to be. What's the difference? That self-discipline, that self-awareness to carry myself and become the person I want to be. What's the difference? The knowledge and understanding of how to break the habit of being myself. Now, everything I've gone through, you're probably looking at yourself and you're thinking the same thing. I know you are. How much awareness do you need to have? It's a growing part of every day. If you're not self-aware, you don't even know who's creating your day. You just think the results are an accident. Self-awareness is the key to success. Where you can self-analyze that you're the product. You're the consciousness that's been creating your reality. When you can get to the point where you can understand you're the creator and the victim of your own reality, you're the only one that could change it. Risk taking. The risk is in not taking the risk.
Probably because I do. I think Ginger's prettier. Now, study that poem. Study the meaning of it. On page 59, we say you'll never obtain any substantial measure of material wealth if you insist upon living your life as if you are looking back through your rearview mirror on your automobile. Nevertheless, it seems to be a very common error which many people have turned into a habit. Let the dead bury the dead. Let it go. I don't care how bad it was, let it go. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when you look back in retrospect at that terrible thing that's happened, you're going to find it was probably one of the best things that ever happened to you. Advancement of all kinds is preceded by a crisis. The greater the crisis, the greater the opportunity for advancement. Or you could put it another way. You could say, out of all confusion comes order. A higher degree of order than that which existed prior to the confusion. Because you see, the confusion was a learning state. Remember, I was pointing out that business is fun. It really is. I see business as a game. It's a game we're playing, and we play to win. And when we're winning, we're having fun. And when we're losing, we're learning. Let's treat both of the experiences exactly the same state. Remember, I was pointing out that business is fun. It really is. I see business as a game. It's a game we're playing, and we play to win. And when we're winning, we're having fun. And when we're losing, we're learning. Let's treat both of the experiences exactly the same. They're learning experiences. Remember, I was pointing out that business is fun. It really is. I see business as a game. It's a game we're playing, and we play to win. And when we're winning, we're having fun. And when we're losing, we're learning. Let's treat both of the experiences exactly the same. They're learning experiences. Now we say, remember the old adage which says, let the dead bury the dead. Stop looking back on your life and worrying about the things which have already occurred and which you can no longer alter. That's like trying to change the time you got out of bed this morning. You're never going to be able to do it. That stands for eternity. You cannot go back and change it, since you cannot let it go. Pursuing that kind of mental activity will never lead to anything worthwhile, any worthwhile accomplishment in your life. You should understand, moreover, that all accomplishments in your life, you should understand, moreover, that all of the great achievers of the past have been visionary figures. They did with their life what, like Scott was saying, he does with his music. He heard it in here. They see their life in here. They're building visions of a great future. We've got a vision of a great company. We've already got a great company. We want a better one. We serve a lot of people. We want to serve more. And as we do, we receive greater rewards. And because we receive greater rewards, we become more comfortable, more creative, and we can provide more service. It's a beautiful cycle that we're in. Looking into the past is a self-doom fulfilling cycle. You just keep getting it worse and worse and worse. We've all done it, so we know what it's like. These visionary figures were men and women who projected into the future, and they did not belabor over things which had already passed. They thought of what could be rather than what already was, and then they moved themselves into action to bring these things into fruition. That quote at the bottom of the page, I should have actually given the person credit for it that said it. Life is either a series of endings or a series of beginnings, at the bottom of page 59. I went to a church service in Santa Ana, California, and Philip Nicola, great preacher. He preached a sermon on that one day. Life is either a series of endings or a series of beginnings. If you're looking back, it's a series of endings. Look ahead. Something great is coming. Leland Bell Vanderwall said something when we were sitting having coffee, and I jotted it down. Every time this guy opens his mouth, he drops a pearl. I'm so wise. He said, let us not look back in anger, nor forward in fear, but around us in awareness. Was there ever depth in that? Let's not drops a pearl. I'm so wise. He said, let us not look back in anger, nor forward in fear, but around us in awareness. Was there ever depth in that? Let's not look back in anger. Let's quit thinking in reverse, nor forward in fear, but around us in awareness. Take all the resentments and guilts. You know what it's doing? Resentments and guilt is simply choosing to build a negative idea here over something that someone did to you, and then letting ourselves get emotionally involved in it, and we move into the same vibration. Now think. I don't care how justified you may feel in holding a resentment. That's a dumb game. Ray Stanford used to tell me it was like throwing dust into a strong wind at someone else. You know where the dust is going to end up. You may feel justified, but I'm going to tell you, a person of understanding will not do it. Will not do it. That is an act, a mental act of ignorance. Love them. The law will see that they get their reward for what they did. You don't have to look after that. And as long as you're holding that resentment in your mind, it's like replaying the same thing over and over again. And the same physical experience is taking place. You're moving into that vibration. I had a good doctor friend of mine that says rheumatism or arthritis is nothing but frozen hate. It's dwelling on things like that. Dries up the joints in the body. What's guilt? I've done things in the past I'm not proud of. I'm quite certain you have. Many of you. And they bothered me for a long time. They really did. And I wasn't able to get rid of it. So I went to see a psychiatrist. He ended up working with us. That's true. He helped me, but I helped him too. And just through a series of right questions, I developed an awareness. It was gone. I have absolutely no guilt anymore. I just won't not tolerate it. That's looking back at something you did that you thought was wrong in the past and reliving it. And the same vibration takes place. You see, resentment and guilt are very closely aligned. One's directed towards someone else, the other's directed towards yourself. But you're the beneficiary of both, and neither one of them are positive. Most destructive emotions that you could get involved in. There's a great affirmation at the bottom of the page. And anyone that wants to rid themselves of resentment or guilt or a lot of disease, I would suggest you write it out probably 100 times a day. I willingly release the thoughts and things that clutter my mind. They're all the old ones in there that you're not even aware of. And then say, I release whoever it is. Name them all to their highest good. That means happiness, health, and prosperity. Just release them. The person could be dead. It's not the person that's causing the problem. It's the remembrance. It's the idea. I release them to their highest good and me to mine. And you see them happy, healthy, and prosperous. And you see yourself happy, healthy, and prosperous. And then you say, it is so. Thank you, Father. Father being infinite power. I want to suggest on page 61, did you read the story of Patty's Cruise? I'm not going to tell you what it is. I want you to read it. I want you to read it. Because I sat down with her. Patty's a good friend of mine. We're related. We worked together. And she had a definite problem. And over a cup of coffee, I gave her a suggestion to solve the problem. And she learned a great lesson. And any one of you can learn a great lesson from the story that's in here. You're always saying, I'd like to do this, but I can't because you get the answer there. Gave her a suggestion that solved the problem, and she learned a great lesson. And any one of you can learn a great lesson from the story that's in here. You're always saying, I'd like to do this, but I can't because you get the answer there. I gave her a suggestion that solved the problem, and she learned a great lesson. And any one of you can learn a great lesson from the story that's in here. You're always saying, I'd like to do this, but I can't because you get the answer there.
When you start to look for the answers of why you're stuck, why you're at where you're at, why you're not getting the results you want, ask yourself why you're not moving forward in your goal. You'll get the answer there. Ask yourself why you're not taking the steps, why you're not taking the actions, why you're not using a planner to change your life. Ask yourself. And what comes after but will be your answer. You'll start to recognize that you have an excuse for every reason not to go and take the actions that you need to take to become the person you want to be. And then you're going to begin to understand that life is clearly a psychological dream. You'll begin to understand that life is all mind. It's mindset, and it's a psychological one. And if you cannot get past the psychology of your own mind, you stay stuck. This is why we have the Institute of the Mind, and this is why we teach this information, because the only thing you could ever do was work on your own mindset to change your reality. Results, they're a product of past thinking. The future, a product of present thinking. The life that you desire, it could be there in 6 months, a year from now. The questioning of yourself, whether you're good enough or not, is solely a psychological one that you'll have to get past. Am I worthy of the good I desire? Solely a psychological one that you're going to have to get past. Do I have the abilities? Solely a psychological one. Do I have the money, the time? All psychological problems. So when you go back to the root base of all problems, they're all psychological. Psyche, which meaning mind. You've got to develop a bulletproof mindset. You've got to develop yourself. You don't have a choice. Take a look at what we're doing. Get involved with yourself and make the decision that you're going to send us a message and you're going to get into one of our programs. The only way that you can change is by changing yourself. I want to thank you guys for looking at this video or looking at it in the future, and invest in yourself. Bet on you, because nobody else will. Everybody have a wonderful day.
Thank you.